when he was in the zone. He would say, yeah, he would say everything he does is perfect, but just time was so slow. Or some people say that time goes faster. People say that their sensations are different. But yeah, so this is flowing. So, but once again, passion leads to the flow. So if you're a part of something greater than yourself, what do? You flow. Something larger than yourself. When you contemplate, you're seeing the oneness of things. You're also part of something greater than yourself. Yeah. So we have the triad. These are all interconnected. Hopefully we can get to knowing later. Now, you guys all look kind of tired. No, it's fine. But you're probably wondering, okay, what is this going to lead to? So hopefully I can explain. So my original thesis, my original theory.
Hey, do you guys work here?
No.
Do you guys know where I can find somebody who works at all?
I kind of wonder.
No, sorry.
Yeah, we don't know.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
My original theory was that the physical nature of reality, the physical manifestation of reality, reflects the eternal reality, the eternal nature of reality. Now, this is kind of common idea. I didn't first come up with this idea. Plato said that this world is just a reflection of the world of the forms, the perfect ideal world of the forms. And he actually said, ultimately there is one form that manifests all forms. This isn't a new idea. St. Paul, who's kind of, I guess, jump-started Christianity, said that our world is just a reflection of heaven. It's just a shadow of heaven, an eternal world, which he called heaven. So, this was my original thesis. And I think that I hopefully discovered what the eternal reality is. And I think that is that everything reflects or is a shadow of the quadrant. Everything in this reality reflects this quadrant. Or you could say the cross. Now, so let me give an example. Let's look at the forces of nature. We have 4 forces. The strong nuclear force, the weak nuclear force, the electromagnetic force, or electromagnetism, and we have gravity. Now, once again, we have a duality, a triad, and then the quadrad. But let me explain more. You guys aren't going to understand exactly what this means, why I put each quadrant in each place yet, but hopefully that should be apparent later on. So the strong nuclear force is kind of a weird one. Weak nuclear force, these are within the molecules, part of quantum mechanics. Same thing with electromagnetism. It also can be explained in quantum mechanics, and these all can be combined in quantum mechanics. I want to mention too that electromagnetism is what's responsible for like matter and stuff, and it's more solid, and we'll get to why this is more important later. But we talked about how there's thinking, emotion, and doing. The third quadrant is always more solid. Doing, more physical. And then we have gravity. Once again, I described at the beginning how I thought that the fourth didn't seem to belong, it didn't seem to fit. Well, we see the same phenomena in physics. The physicists say, gravity, how does this fit in with these other forces? We think we can combine these other 3. We think we can do that. But gravity, we can only describe this with general relativity. It's a completely different thing. So, but actually, with M theory, they all can be combined, and even M theory and every single thing it's kind of surprising to think about this, but every single thing in existence fits this model. But so gravity is different, but think about it. Gravity would not exist without the strong nuclear force, the weak force, electromagnetism, because gravity, according to Einstein, is just basically the consequence of the ripples of space-time due to matter, and matter doesn't exist without electromagnetism or these other things. So yeah, it kind of is separate from all these, but it encompasses all of them. It needs all of them. And once again, we can always go to a fifth force, quintessent. Scientists say there might be a quintessent force. Let me explain really quickly what I mean by this. So I talk about thinking, emotion, doing, and dreaming. Well, what's important is dreaming. We talk about how it's physical, it's ego-based, but it also transcends it. It transcends the physical. Well, it encompasses everything before it, and it points to what comes after it. It points to contemplation. While it's different, it encompasses everything before it, and it points to the quadrant which comes after it. Contemplation, we talk about how contemplation, now we have transcended the physical, we've transcended the ego, now we're beyond it, and we're contemplating, we have passion, we flow, and hopefully more later we can get to what knowing is. So yeah, and gravity kind of points to the quintessent force, the fifth one. But scientists say, is there really a fifth force? The fifth is always questionable. And we're hopefully after this we're going to complete the other two quadrants in this model. Let me give another example about how the physical nature of reality reflects the eternal. So biologists say that there's 4 domains. Actually, they say there's 3 domains of life and possible fourth. Once again, the possible fourth doesn't seem to fit. We have archaea, bacteria, eukaryotes, and the virus. Now, once again, we have the duality. Archaea and bacteria, but scientists say archaebacteria because they're so similar, the duality, like strong force, weak nuclear force, but archaebacteria, here's a duality. And we also have the eukaryotes, which is, once again, we're eukaryotes, fungi are eukaryotes. These are characterized by the cell structure. So I guess eukaryotes have a nucleus and a cell wall, and they have these certain properties. Archaea have different properties. Bacteria have different properties. But eukaryotes are more doing. Things that move around and do things, there are eukaryotes. Archaea tend to live in really extreme environments. Bacteria, we know that they're responsible for decomposing things. We're going to get to this more later, but the second quadrant, which I put as bacteria, is always kind of responsible for homeostasis, for maintaining order, an orderly environment. It's a very important function. Okay. So we have the triad, and then we have, once again, the virus. The virus doesn't seem to fit. It's the fourth one. I heard a scientist say that if anybody asks him, is a virus alive or dead, his response is yes, because it is both alive and dead. The reason why scientists say that a virus is alive is because it has all the properties of life, but it lacks mainly one thing, which is the reason why they say it's not really alive, and that is that it needs to have a host cell to live.
Hi, do you know where the security guard?
No. Sorry, we're recording something.
Oh, oops.
So, and if you think about it, this is very interesting. So it needs a host cell to live. Well, what's the host cell that it needs? It needs to live in a eukaryote. It needs to live in a bacterium. It needs to live within an archaea. So it is separate from all these, but it encompasses all of them. You could even argue bacteria, eukaryotes, archaea, they're all viruses because they need the planet Earth to live. There's a Gaia hypothesis that the planet Earth is alive. We'll just say that for now, but what I'm trying to illustrate is that virus seems different, but actually it's not that much different. let's just say the fifth one, people have thought that they found a fifth type of life at the bottom of the ocean, a fifth domain, but they haven't really found it. Again, people argue that perhaps there's different types in space and stuff, but once again, the fifth always questionable. Let's just go to a few more examples of this and then we can continue. Let's look at DNA. Scientists say that there's no reason why DNA has to have 4 nucleotides. They say actually it would be more efficient if there was a different number. So the question always is, I know I talked to my grandpa about this, and my grandpa's theory is that, and I think that my grandpa's incorrect, he says that everything in the universe is just, an energy system that is trying to reach its highest potential, and everything, talking in this type of way. But really, if you look at things, scientists say things aren't that efficient. Things aren't that trying to reach these, grand multiplying patterns, quote unquote. Really, everything just seems to try to reveal this form. So, with the DNA, we have the cytosine, guanine, thymine, and adenine. Just the 4 bases of the DNA. There's actually a possible 5th base, urine, but it's not in DNA, it's in RNA. I'll do a couple fun ones really quick, and then hopefully we can get back to the model. So in my sociology class, we learned that there is, actually let's first talk about the 4 elements, because this will hopefully give you guys a better idea of the race one, which I'm going to get to after it. So with the Socrates and Plato, all these guys talked about the 4 elements. This is a Greek idea, but it's in every culture. Every single culture talks about the 4 elements. Now they say that they are air, water, earth, and fire. They derive these elements from 4 qualities. These qualities are hot and cold, dry and wet. So by combining these 4, we can get 4 types. So air, what is air? They say, this is what the Greeks said. They said, but every culture said it once again, but we'll just say the Greeks. They said that air is dry. No, it's wet. And hot. Okay. I'm pretty sure. Water is wet and cold. Earth is cold and dry. Fire is hot and dry. Okay? This is how they get the 4 elements. Just to explain a little bit, what wet means that it adheres to its container. So if you put air in a container, it'll move around in order to fill the space of the container. This is what he means by wet. Hot, we know what hot means, it's just temperature. Okay, this is kind of a simplistic model, but now that we see that the form is very important, the Greeks weren't really stupid, silly, archaic people, and this model isn't an archaic, fun, simplistic model. This was coming to a really big truth. Actually, okay. And once again, people say like fire is kind of just energy, and I don't know. We see that all these are different, but all of them are kind of similar too. They all are comprised of the same qualities. Okay, let's look at